Hi, everyone. So I started doing general readings for all the signs today. I'm sure I'll get them out and finished sometime this week. But what keeps coming up is something that I have personal experience with. However, I'm sort of in the middle of, and it keeps coming up. And I feel like now is the time to talk about it, or my guides are telling me. I have a little bit of resistance and hesitation to do so, but if I've learned one thing, it's that they guide you to do things for a reason. So here we go. Today I wanted to talk about twin flames and sacred unions, and why what the purpose is, and why divine masculine, divine feminine energies keep coming up, and the need to integrate them into one within yourself as well as in the physical. So there you have it. Okay, so this is something that I've had the experience with, I guess. As a child, I've had this feeling and this knowing within me that there is someone out there who I would just know. And the way it presented, or it's like fairy tales sort of gave it a wrong, I don't know how to explain it. It's not something that people are familiar with, much less believers of. And so if you're a child and you have these feelings or these knowings or whatever, they often become translated into fairy tales and having a wonderful imagination. And then you start to doubt yourself. And there's no one really to turn to. So it can kind of lead into a lot of experimenting, a lot of failed relationships. Like when I was younger, I would skip the getting to know you part and go into like, I need to know what it feels like when you kiss me. Because if it doesn't feel right, then it's not you. And I don't want to waste my time. So long string of bad relationships. Anyways, no, I don't want to go into my personal story right now. Let's just talk about what are twin flames. Twin flames are a little deeper than soulmates. So I kind of made this little diagram here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me put these down. Okay. So if you think of it as being something very linear and easy to describe, you have source consciousness. And from source consciousness, energy flows down into what you can describe as a soul blanket. In the soul blanket, many different pieces break off into one singular soul consciousness. And then from there, I kind of I don't know what I did with my pen. So if you see these little individual souls being coming down into being, if you think of it as a yin yang symbol, they then split into two separate pieces from this one whole being. Okay. Some will incarnate into different dimensions. Some will incarnate, some will have one half incarnate into this physical reality, and one will stay up in the higher dimensions. Sometimes they will remain up there as your spirit guide or higher self while you're here in the physical manifestation. And then sometimes you manifest into life together. It all goes through the same stages, but it's after you've lived so many lifetimes and come into the soul awareness, you start incarnating into lives together. In some lives, you have no idea who this other soul is. You are just fated to meet. And sometimes it can be very tragic. You just go through a lot of different experiences over very, very many lifetimes until you come to the point where you incarnate into a lifetime and meet to join into union. So where did the concept of twin flames originate from? It's said to originate from Plato's The Symposium. And in it, it states that humans originally had two faces, 4 arms, and 4 legs. And fearing being overpowered, the gods then separated the humans into what we are today. And it's in the separation, even though you're a whole being, there's still another half of you. It's very complex. There's a passage that I found in the Symposium by Plato, and it says, "So ancient is the desire of one another, which is implanted in us, reuniting our original nature, seeking to make one of two, and heal the state of man." I mean, yeah. And sometimes you're not you'll come into contact, and one will act as catalyst, or you'll act as catalyst in each other's lives, and then that's it, and then you'll go your separate ways. So it just depends on where you're at in your journey. And like, one is not better than the other, one is not lesser than the other. It just depends on where you're at in your journey, in your spiritual soul evolution, that determines what happens for you. And it's individual. There's no like, you can find articles and you can find stages of twin flame journeys, and you can find what signs of a twin flame reunion or meeting or whatever. But it's really based on you and the other's journey, and where you are at and how many lifetimes you've done it. I don't know. So anyway, I don't know why this subject makes me so uncomfortable. I guess it's because I'm on this journey. I've had many soulmates. And by the way, the difference between soulmates and twin flames is that soulmates are cut from the same blanket. So it's like you're energetically cut from the same cloth. It's when those pieces are cut and halved, and those two are the mirrored reflections of each other. That is the twin flame. I hope this makes sense to you guys. It's not a fairy tale journey. It can feel like it at first, and you can become drunk off of this deep, soulful, spiritual connection. That you lose sight of the purpose behind this connection and coming together in life, in the physical. But it's not an easy path to take. Oh, so there's different stages that are said to take place in the twin flame journey. So the first one is the search. You have this knowing, this just this knowing of having someone, and as someone existing who matches you. For me, I've had dreams. I've had dreams about this person, not always in human form, but in many different dimensions and realities and galaxies even. Yeah. So then you have a meeting, and you have this awakening. And there's this step number 2, it's the awakening. Having the realization of who they are, having them come into your awareness. And I feel like the purpose is to show you where you're at currently. When I had this meeting, it was shown to me very clearly how spiritually and emotionally immature I was. And transformation began almost immediately. And while I did have communication and contact with this person, it was never physical contact or even like intimate contact. It was simply by being in the energy that was created by the two of us coming together in the same place. That created transformation. I was made very aware that I was still stuck in ego. Very aware. I was made very aware of that. And the energy that was created became so intense and so uncomfortable for me because I didn't want to see myself, that I ran and hid and then realized what I did and tried to make it right. But that time, the other person ran and hid. So that's number 3, is the test, to come together and be in each other's awareness and energy and see if you're ready for this type of work in union. Because this journey is not about fulfilling something within you. It's about coming together, bringing 2 energies to become one, to heal humanity. Depending on what the journey is or what the process is for each individual pair. If you're not ready, then you go into number 4, which is crisis. And it's being made aware of your shadows and your wounds and the healing that needs to be done within you to become whole within yourself. This is the point where people either jump on board and start healing, or avoid at all costs. But you can only avoid for so long. Then this leads into somebody running and the other person chasing, and it's just a downward spiral until you can no longer go down. You hit rock bottom, and all there's left to do is surrender. Surrender to the connection. Surrender to the energy. Surrender to then seeing yourself. Surrender then to being completely open to seeing your shadows and your wounds, and no longer running away from yourself. It's then that, and you don't have to be healed completely 100%. You have to be committed and have every intention to do the work, and be committed to doing it on a daily basis. But it will take a lifetime to heal. It will take many lifetimes to heal. And that's okay. It doesn't. Anyways, it's in this surrender that you will either come together in union, or you could find a life partner if you're not meant to be together in union in this lifetime. Sorry. And so if you're not resonating with this twin flame stuff, then this probably isn't gonna make any sense to you or even resonate with you when I go into the reading. But you're more than welcome to stay and listen. But just staying. So what are some characteristics of this connection? It's like the first meeting, instant recognition, instant telepathic communication, out of body experiences. A love so deep that it's nothing you've ever experienced before, and you're not even sure what it means. You just know that it's intense and makes you feel a little bit crazy. And it doesn't feel of this world. A lot of synchronicities will happen. For me, I would hear a disembodied voice of that person. That person would appear to me physically, but not. I've even had physical encounters in like the ethers, I guess. It's kind of like astral projection or lucid dreaming. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's just not something of this world, to be honest. And it's not something scientific. It's not something that people can study. It's just this knowing. But if it's true that universe wanted to know itself, and by doing this created separation from itself to experience itself through itself, then twin flame reunions is meant to help bring the universe back into one or unity by awakening the Christ consciousness or divine love within all of humanity. Simply with their energy coming together and creating one separate energy. It's like this is the resurrection of Christ that Christians speak of, but not of the man, of the consciousness of Christ. Twin flames who are meant to come into union in this lifetime are portals for the Christ consciousness to flow through. And by coming together and uniting, allows for the Christ consciousness to become manifest and resurrect and reawaken in everyone to help heal the state of man. It's beautiful if you think about it, but it's the hardest fucking thing that you will ever do. because you have to see yourself. You have to see every aspect of yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. You have to see all of it. And then you have to love all of it. And then you have to integrate it all into one within yourself. And that's hard. But it's possible. And it's simple, but it's fucking hard. So, with that being said, it's coming to my awareness that twin flame unions will begin happening in the summer of 2022 or spring of 2022. And I'm not sure what I meant to do with this information yet, so I'm just allowing things to happen as I'm guided. I currently have a soulmate partner. I was in a state where I didn't want anything unless it was that connection, you know? But it was in that holding on to something that wasn't technically there that I needed to surrender and live my life according to what I felt and how I was led to live it. Not choosing another person over myself. I chose myself. And I was led into a relationship with a soulmate. And I've been there and been grateful for that. I don't know. I just feel like I'm meant to guide people on this journey, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure. It's not very clear yet. But I'm going to do a reading for the Divine Feminine Manifest, the Divine Masculine Manifest, and where the journey is at currently in general. And I know I said it's individual, but what the collective consciousness is for those individuals that are meant to be in union, I guess. Yes, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pull a blind spot oracle and see where the Divine Feminine's blind spot lies and then Divine Masculine's blind spot lies. So, Divine Feminine. There's many more couples that are soulmates than twin flames. Like, this is not a very common thing right now. And that's where I get tripped up in even wanting to speak about it, because twin flame almost gets equated with soulmates now, and it's not the same. True twin flames may have mindsets that are not conducive to their purpose, in which then they'll experience separation. But towards each other, they're not toxic. Towards each other, they don't hurt. They don't hurt each other or not purposely hurt each other. It's like it, even though ghosting hurts, it's more like rather than sit and hurt each other, they'll just disappear from each other's lives. You know, rather than lie to each other, they just won't talk to each other. Rather than, yeah, it won't be somebody who sits and cheats on you. It won't be somebody. It's not somebody who will sit around and see you hurt because the other cannot see you hurt. Um, there are false twin flames as well. And there's just come this misconception that twin flames are toxic relationships, and it's just not the case. Not in a true twin flame journey. At least that's my feeling about it. Okay. The feminine has the blind spot of self-concept. Okay. So it says self-concept. If you draw on the sigil, your blind spot is your desire to see yourself and for other people to see you as a good person. The ego is a singular identity that you call by your name. It is an amalgamation of all things you identify with, the things you call I, me, or mine. Ego is self-concept. Because we're raised relationally dependent in a society in which our survival depends upon each other and has for thousands of years, the only way for ourselves to survive is if I cannot see, sorry, is if we are in good favor of the rest of the social group. The rest of the social group, beginning with our parents when we were young, have to approve of us. They only approve of us if we are good. That is, if we are being in a way and doing things in a way that are deemed good by the specific individuals around us. There is no real clear distinction amongst humans between doing bad and being bad. Therefore, the single most important thing to human ego or sense of self is to believe itself to be good. Okay, and then the divine masculine has bias. This one says, if you've drawn the sigil, you are biased. Being biased is currently causing you to deviate from conscious awareness as well as rational judgment. If you've drawn the sigil, know that you have a bias. That bias is either explicit or implicit, or external or internal. If you have a bias, it is very hard to see objective reality and objective truth. Face the thoughts that were passed down to you, information you were fed, beliefs you were conditioned to adopt, ways the information was presented to you, experiences you had, especially the trauma that may have led to the polarized perception that you hold, and meaning that you've assigned to those experiences. Open your mind enough to consider that these may have put us in a position to think something is good and right and true that is in fact not good and right and true. To the opposite, consider that these things may have put us in this position to think something is bad and wrong and false, that it is in fact not bad and wrong and false. And no matter whether something is right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, your bias may just be making connection. A meeting of minds or resolution impossible. It's so funny. To find improvement, you must open your heart and mind and accommodate the opposite perspective, the opposite camp to your bias. Let's see. Okay, so for self-concept, I'm going to finish reading it because I feel like it is important. So we left off, therefore, a single most important thing to the human ego is sense of self, or sense of self, is to believe itself to be good. This means that you have been making other people the bad one in order to see yourself as the good one. This means you have been spending your life consciously trying to become anything that you associate with goodness and trying to see that in yourself. To the opposite, you have spent your life trying to avoid the things you associate with badness, and your mind will actively avoid seeing these traits in yourself. We tend to be completely unable to see when we are being in a way or doing something in a way that we have been taught is bad. For example, hurting other people. In order to avoid shame, we cope by deflection, denial, and reframing so that we can believe ourselves to be good. If you've drawn the sigil, the painful truth that you have to face relative to this situation is that you are telling yourself that you are doing good and right, when in fact, if you were completely self-aware, as well as aware of the objective truth of the entire situation, you are the one who is currently doing what you yourself would consider to be bad and wrong. If you wish to transcend this blind spot, you must be willing to feel the ineffable discomfort of seeing the parts of yourself that fit into the category of badness. You have to be willing to see the impact you are having on other people. You have to commit to seeing yourself through the eyes and from their perspective. And ultimately, instead of separating from them by making them bad and yourself good, you must practice taking them as part of yourself. Ask yourself, what am I unwilling to see, admit to, accept, or show to other people about myself because it would make me see myself as bad and or see them see me as bad? Okay then. All right, so divine masculine or divine feminine, we have helpless and hopeless. It's time to move on from this victim mentality of not seeing our part in the situation, of not taking responsibility for the ways that we act, and therefore moving forward into the vibration of love, into the vibration of being completely open and aware to seeing who we are, to seeing all parts of ourselves, the good and the bad, and loving all of those parts, creating a new perspective and a new awareness of ourselves. Okay? And then bias for divine masculine. And we have strengthening bonds. These three came out together. This one only came out by itself. So strengthening bonds. It's like this is the Ace of Swords. So it's like having new perspective, having a rejuvenated perspective. Seeing things differently and more clearly. And then this is the Ace of Pentacles. It's the psychic love tarot. So strengthening bonds is strengthening bonds in the physical. Shoot. It's like knowing that sometimes things aren't always logical. Just gotta feel your way through it. So if you're drawn to somebody, if you're drawn to this person and you carry the divine masculine energy and you can't figure out why you're so drawn to this person and it doesn't make logical sense and you just are like, what the F? Sometimes you just got to go with the feeling and find out for yourself, like experience it in physical versus just keeping it mental and going over and over and over it. These are new cards and they're slippery a little bit. Oh, okay. So for the divine feminine, and even though I say divine feminine, you could be male and hold that divine feminine energy, or you could be female and hold the divine masculine energy. This has nothing to do with gender. It's just that one person will have more prominent divine feminine, one person will have a more prominent divine masculine. That's it. So if I use he or she, it's just because. Okay, so divine feminine has the Two of Coins, learning to become balanced in mind, body, soul. I like something. Um, Learning to become balanced mind, body, soul. Not feeling so closed off or having to have a defense up. We can put our swords down and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We don't need to force anything. This Five of Swords is Venus in Aquarius, and Venus doesn't feel very comfortable in Aquarius. So it's like being closed off and protected, defensive. Um, just not being open. Knight of Pentacles, Nine of Coins. Allowing ourselves to move forward slowly so we can gain confidence and set a firm foundation for ourselves. Get used to being in this new mindset. Things don't have to happen fast, but it has to be real and be true. You can't do things so that you can get to the end. You have to do things fully with your whole heart, with all of your intention. And that right now is changing the way we perceive certain things and how we perceive ourselves, and accepting and knowing all parts of ourselves and loving all those aspects. In doing this, we will alleviate our burdens. We will remove the inauthenticity that we feel within ourselves. We will begin a new cycle that feels good and passionate and true. We will no longer feel separated from ourselves. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and how being inauthentic makes you feel like you live a double life, you know? And it's once you find and connect into your truth of who you are, just allows this light to just shine through you, and living in the space of authenticity and a knowing of who you are just brings complete and utter happiness, no matter who's in your life. You don't have a need for this divine masculine in your life once you have this. And it's only in that space where you no longer need them to accept you or to love you or to see you as good, that they end up coming back around anyway. But don't wait for it. Like, live your life. Allow your light to shine and find find it within you. Rediscover it within you. This is the purpose. Okay. So, divine masculine, we have Palace of Swords. The Swords is a masculine, and it's the mental realm. It's air. It's being stuck in the mind. In this deck of cards, they have the court cards, so the page, the knight, the queen, the king, but they added a palace. So it's like being in the environment of the air, of the swords. So it's time to step out of this. It's time to release yourself from your own mind and your own judgments and your own biases, and allow yourself to explore and discover new and exciting thoughts, ideas, environments, people, things. Have new experiences and get out of the mindset. And the feeling that I'm getting actually is this. It feels the same. This is the Eight of Swords, the helpless and hopeless, but it feels like being stuck in this way of thinking that we're unable to get out of, and it's completely keeping you stuck in a state of needing to make a choice, but too afraid to make a choice. You don't want to be stuck in this old way of thinking. You don't want to be stuck in this place that doesn't feel like home to you any longer, but you're too afraid to step out because you're not aware of what's on the other side. All you have to do is take the blindfold off and have a look. You don't have to take action right now. Just have a look. Like, be open to it. Then we have the Chariot. Once you take the blindfold off and you see something that you like, then you can move forward and you can take action. You can do it on your own free will without having to feel like something else has control over you. But it will be on your own terms. You know? Yeah. Four of Coins. Just allow yourself to open up. Release the grip from the old just a little bit. Instead of holding it so close to your chest, maybe just hold it in your lap and take a look around. You don't have to be so guarded against new perspectives. And it just feels like there's a fear of losing yourself in it, more so than being open to new perspectives. It's a fear of losing yourself in it. But knowing Six of Pentacles, Six of Coins, the opposite is actually true. If you look, this is the four, this is the six, and they are mirrored, but they're opposite. Catch my drift. If you're able to open up and release the grip from the old, release everything that you thought defined you. Because I can feel that there's a curiosity to see if there's something more, because you haven't found yourself quite fulfilled. but you're also afraid to let go. You might see that on the other side is something completely balanced, a place where you feel nourished as well as you choose to nourish the other, a place where you feel seen and understood, and vice versa. You're able to feel and see and understand. A place where you're safe to be open and emotional and vulnerable, where you're not judged or taken advantage of. I don't know. Finding that balance of give and take, being able to be in balance of give and take. I feel like it's going to be something completely new for you. Okay, let's pull an oracle card. This is the Rumi Oracle. We've got Sacred Phoenix Heart. And this is for both masculine and feminine, together as one. Number 21. I have no idea why I'm so called to do this. Okay. Sacred Phoenix Heart. Under the cover of blood, love veils many rose gardens. In total faith, love tenderly guides every lover to the garden of the heart. Reason says the world is limited to 6 directions. There is no way out. Love says there is a way, and I've traveled it many times. Okay. It says, how I adore your defiant, rebellious heart. It knows that would be my daughter's. It knows that it knows that what for the mind is an end is for the heart simply another match to ignite the sacred flames. It eats of love until it is filled and then becomes hungry again and eats some more. And again and again. It eats of love until it is so full that it must simply explode into a sacred fire of passion. It bursts, incapable of sustaining old consciousness in the expanse of blessings, unlimited, lavished upon it through the great beloved's affection. It would be like attempting to fit an ocean into a teacup. It does not. It bursts forth, like a dying star, into spectacular radiance, only to be reborn again, new and hungry for the next feeding frenzy in love's great banquet. How I adore your defiant, spectacular heart. Love guides us through travails that seem improbable and, if not impossible. It does not shy away from any challenge, from any cause. It cannot. It just is. Or it is just love's way. Love says to us, there is always another way. You are receiving this guidance now. Perhaps you are scratching your head quizzically or are in deepest despair because you appear to have met a dead end, a frowning no or a dismissive laugh upon your request to bring love alive. So then, do you choose to believe in love or in death? I can't see. Hold on one second. Okay, let's start over. Love guides us through travails that seem improbable, if not impossible. It does not shy away from any challenge, from any cause. It cannot. It is just love's way. Love says to us that there is always another way. You are receiving this guidance now. Perhaps you are scratching your head quizzically or are in deepest despair because you appear to have met a dead end, a frowning no, or a dismissive laugh upon your quest to bring love alive. So then, do you choose to believe in love or in death of sorts your heart faces? Your heart shall rally. I choose death because that is the portal to new life. It's death and rebirth, right? I choose death because that is the portal to new life. And so it is wise, you see, but you must be brave. To be burned in love, by love, for love, will involve endurance of pain. It will also place it in context. My light is going crazy. Okay. To be burned in love, by love, for love, will involve endurance of pain, but it will also place it in context. It is a shorter pain that is not compounded by erroneous thinking. That pain comes and goes quite quickly when you realize that love is simply, playfully, smacking your wrist and saying, "Not that way, beloved. There are great pitfalls on that path. Come, take this one, where there shall be wine and dancing." So you are guided to accept the closed doors, the death, the pain, and to let it become tinder for your fire. Cry whatever tears need to be cried so your tinder can be dry and ready to create the sparks your heart needs. That sacred phoenix, ready to die into life within you, is hungry for the fire. Let it feast so it can fulfill its potential, its divine destiny, and become born again into new form, more divinely aligned and alive than before. This oracle comes with a message for you. You may feel as though you've been wandering in the desert for many years with no oasis in sight. You might have been through darkness, through trials, endured confusion and uncertainty as you sought for your truth, sought divine revelation, and sought your purpose to confirm your plans. Seek no more. The answers are now given, or very soon will be. And the life, the passion, the purpose, it will all come to you in clarity. Does life need to be grasped for? It is bestowed according to grace and destiny. It need not be sought so much as received. The spiritual destiny that calls your soul, even whilst you may feel your bodily ears are deaf to the call, makes your heart leap. It is as though hearing the beloved's voice and stirring an ancient memory of love so powerful moves you, even without you necessarily understanding how or why. So let the life come to you. Be prepared to let the old version of your life pass away into the new life now being born. What does this mean? It means letting go of your striving, your opinions, your doubts, your despair, and your fears. Life wants to happen through you, blazing angel. You don't have much to do other than to get out of your own way. Love is your nature. Let it flourish, and life shall unfold accordingly. This oracle brings a particular message regarding divine timing, that oh so significant factor in our dreams coming to life. Your time is fast approaching. It may even be now. It may seem least likely to you. There may be great darkness or confusion, and yet the unveiling of the new dawn is closest to you, the deepest, darkest of the night. Do not turn back or away from your progress. Your very steps shall be upon hallowed ground. rendered golden by the rays of the rising sun. Sacred honoring ritual. Place your hands on your heart and say, "The sacred phoenix heart is blessed. Through every loss, every grief and sadness, every mourning, this heart grows strong, ready to ignite into new life, into the dance that is not the funeral procession, but the rite of spring. This heart is ready to leap with new life, to be infused with the joy of innocence and the passion of the deepest devotion. How I trust my heart to lead me, guided by the inner voice of love, through all that could possibly be. I am safe. This heart knows the way, and I follow it faithfully now, into the light of a new day. Through sacred grace, so be it." So if you want to partake, oh wait, there's more. Just kidding. Place your hands in prayer and close your eyes. Imagine that there is love in your heart and that you can send a gentle acknowledgement of the love from your mind to your heart. As you bow your head towards your hands, imagine that you are mentally bowing to the greatness of your heart and the love it honors. So if you want to do the ritual, you can rewind a little bit, repeat after the words that I said, and then follow that. I honor you. I feel you. I see you. I hear you. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye.